Hi everyone. So I'm going to talk about sustainable development and management of ecotourism in the Americas. If you know, all Latin America is a very biodiversity. It has a lot of biodiversity. So I'm going to read a little bit about how this can work. So it's conditions for the sustainable development of ecotourism in the Americas. So, the designation of the International Year of Ecotourism demonstrates the recognition by the United Nations of the social and economic relevance of this activity globally. At the same time, the UN General Assembly wished to draw the attention of governments and the international community to draw the attention of governments and the international community in general about the potential of this tourism segment to generate impacts, both positive and negative, on the natural environment, the conservation of biodiversity, and the social and cultural fabrics of host communities. Therefore, governments, the private sector, the host communities, and the tourists are invited to exert greater efforts in order for ecotourism to become a major contributor to sustainable development, instead of posing a new barrier to sustainability. I would like to start by recalling briefly that the concept of ecotourism has been adopted relatively recently, around 20 years, by a wide range of players with various interpretations, some more truthful than others. On the occasion of the International Year of Ecotourism and other international organizations that are collaborating in this process decided to use the concept of ecotourism to reflect all forms of tourism in which the tourist's main motivation is the observation and appreciation of nature that contribute to the conservation of and that generate minimal impacts upon the natural environment and the cultural heritage. It would be important that this serves that the IYE serves also to achieve a major convergence in the interpretation of this term and in its more rigorous commercial application. So, it is useful and necessary to clarify that the term ecotourism should not be equated with sustainable tourism. The imperative of sustainability is common to all segments of the tourism industry, and ecotourism, as all other forms of tourism, must strive to achieve a higher level of sustainability. The WTO has defined the following objectives for this year. One is generate greater awareness among public authorities, the private sector, the civil society, and consumers regarding ecotourism capacity to A, improve the conservation of the natural and cultural heritage, B, improve the local communities' standards of living in rural areas and in the surrounding and protected areas, and C, encourage a better knowledge of and respect for nature, indigenous cultures, and their diversity. 2. Promote a sustainable development of ecotourism as an essential condition to generate the positive benefits expected from it. 3. Disseminate methods of and techniques for planning, management, regulation, and monitoring of ecotourism to guarantee its long-term sustainability. 4. Promote the exchange of successful experiences in the field of ecotourism. 5. Increase opportunities for the efficient marketing and promotion of ecotourism destinations and products in the international markets. Number 6. Promote minimum quality standards as well as trustworthy and comparable certificate systems for ecotourism suppliers. Ecotourism, an opportunity for the Americas. We believe that the International Year of Ecotourism represents an exceptional opportunity for the countries of the Americas to develop their huge ecotourism potential and substantially improve their positioning on the world tourism markets. With with its Antarctic and Arctic regions, Patagonian ice fields and glaciers, steeps, pampas and plains, the Amazon jungle, the Altiplano and Andean peaks, the deserts of Mexico and South America, the marine treasures of the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Pacific, and a host of other natural resources and diverse indigenous cultures, the Americas boast more than any other continent a huge variety of altitudes, climates, and biological and scenic diversity. These assets, coupled with the region's relatively low population density and the low level of exploitation to which it has hitherto been subject, are the basic conditions of promoting the development of ecotourism. Hence, America nonetheless has various comparative advantages with respect to the African continent, not least its general air connections, its facilities for land access to areas with tourism potential, its human resources with access to education, the overall climate of peace and safety, plus other factors, all of which are largely superior. Some countries in our region have already managed to cash in on these advantages to place themselves at the forefront of the international ecotourism market. But the potential that remains is vast in terms of the speed at which demand is growing on international markets and the scant proportion of tourists Latin America receives as opposed to the global market. The ecotourism potential of Latin America and the Caribbean should be developed swiftly. To this end, the public authorities, host communities, and entrepreneurs must coordinate their actions on the basis of political and commercial sound criteria, and above all, on the basis of strict economic, social, and environmental sustainability criteria. The ultimate aim to ensure that the infrastructure built, the company and destination management techniques deployed, and the marketing initiatives implemented to attract tourists to the region all generate lasting effects that will benefit both present and future generations. Conditions for the development and sustainable management of ecotourism. For ecotourism, sustainability is a stronger imperative than for any other form of tourism. Nonetheless, as it is also the case with other forms of tourism, unsustainable ecotourism is apparent in many regions and countries. Not only does this threaten the very survival of natural environment that forms the mainstay of the segment of the tourism industry, it also damages the social and cultural fabric of local communities, which should be the main beneficiaries of ecotourism. It is therefore vital to give more consideration to ecotourism activities and to introduce more effective controls at all levels, including the planning, management, marketing, and monitoring stages. To ensure maximizing benefits for ecotourism and minimizing negative impacts on natural environments and communities, all stakeholders must commit themselves to follow some principles and guidelines in their operations. In a concerned effort, WTO has identified the following principal characteristics and conditions, all of which we met with a view to guaranteeing the long-term sustainability of ecotourism. 1. Ecotourism must contribute to the conservation and improvement of natural areas and to the sustainable development of adjacent areas and communities. 2. Ecotourism requires specific policies, strategies, and programs. 3. Ecotourism needs practical and effective systems of coordination between all the players involved, including governments, private enterprises, and the local community. 4. The planning of ecotourism must include strict criteria for territorial zoning, including reserves, low and medium impact areas. 5. The physical planning and design of ecotourism facilities should be carried out in a manner to avoid or minimize any negative impact they may have upon the natural and cultural environment. Number 6. Similarly, the means of transport and communication to be used in ecotourism areas should be low contaminating. 7. The practice of ecotourism in national parks and protected areas should strictly comply with the management rules governing such areas. 8. Reciprocally, these management plans should take into account the fact that they will be used by tourists and make suitable provisions for a sustainable use and visitation. Number 9. Appropriate legal and institutional mechanisms should be established to facilitate and make effective the orderly participation of the local communities in the entire ecotourism process, including policy definition, planning, management, and monitoring. 10. In line with these, institutional, financial, fiscal, or other mechanisms should also be established to ensure that a significant proportion of the income generated from ecotourism remains with the local community or serves conservation purposes. 11. It is, however, important to ensure that ecotourism is a good, economically sustainable business and that profits are generated from it. Let me read that again. It is, however, important to ensure that ecotourism is a good, economically sustainable business and that profits are generated from it. Number 12. All those concerned with the ecotourism business must be aware of the costs of mitigating any possible negative impacts, and such costs must be incorporated in the pre-investment cost-benefit analysis of any ecotourism project. Number 13. Compliance with general tourism regulations and codes should be stricter in the case of ecotourism. Number 14. Consideration should be given to the prospects in establishing the obligation of certification systems for ecotourism facilities and operations. Education and training are prerequisites for sustainable ecotourism development and management. Number 16. Ecotourists need detailed and specialized information both before and during the trip. 17. Promotional material for ecotourism should contain substantial information on the experience to which potential tourists are invited. Truthful information about the accommodation and catering services, as well as recommendations on what may and may not be done at the destination to discriminate between genuine ecotourism operators and others that only seek to take advantage of a fashion. And 18. Both the marketing channels and the promotional means for ecotourism products should be consistent with the type of ecotourism the consumer is being offered and with the typology of ecotourists. So I am confident that the diverse ecotourism case studies we have selected for representation at the conference will enable us to determine to what extent the principle and characteristics I have outlined have been or can be applied to the Americas, the obstacles and challenges that still lie ahead, and all the steps that can be taken to overcome them. and the steps that can be taken to overcome. The presentation of these case studies and the ensuing discussions will also enable us to draw conclusions and formulate recommendations with a view to the Quebec Summit next year at the America's contribution to the International Year of Ecotourism. Allow me to take this opportunity to thank all the speakers and all those who expressed the interest in presenting papers, but we were unfortunately unable to conclude them with the program due to time constraints for the great interest they have shown in sharing their experiences with other countries of the region. I would like to conclude by re, reiterating that each country, each province, other experiences without losing sight of the fact that ecotourism, more than any other type of tourism, requires specific solutions, techniques, and structures that reflect the specific attributes of the destination, its natural environment, and its culture. Thank you. So this was a conference which happens time to time, every year maybe. This was back in 2002. So it's been more than 20 years. But one thing I want to just tell you is that here, ecotourism has definitely worked out. I mean, these things have become a reality for our countries, especially in the rainforest and jungle areas. For example, here, it used to be where tourists would just come and go into local areas and just visit, and it would be just a mess. Now you can go to, for example, we have a rainforest area here where you can go and you have different spots or places where you can do a lot of things like bird watching, like you just do some rafting in the river, or you get on motorcycles and go, just go around the town. So these are things that are definitely, by the local people are the ones who take control of this, and they tell you, okay, this is what the plan is. If you want to go bird watching, you have to be up at 6 o'clock. We take you to this high place, and you have so it's all planned out. They plan it all out, so you can see that the communities benefit from these type of ecotourism. So the food you can also get in the area, or you could get in your hotel. The way that you learn about the community, the indigenous communities, which have all that cultural ancestry that we connects all of us. So it's not like, it's stepped upon, it's actually respected and people learn. So that is the wonderful benefits of ecotourism, which have had an effect. Maybe at this point it just needs a little bit more, it just needs to get a little bit more cleaned up, but it's definitely worked, and it's very beneficial to all of us. And you get an experience of what the land is and the connection people have with the land, because we all have a connection with our land. So that's what I want to share this night. So have a good one. Bye.